Okay, students, this is feedback for assignment number 3. And what I do when you turn in an assignment is I'll go through and I really try to find examples of really decent or really good photographs that I can share with you that were taken by your classmates for this assignment. And we'll talk a little bit about what makes those good shots. So this is Courtney and her abstract, and I think this is just outstanding. I have a bit of a problem when people turn in an abstract assignment and it's just totally out of focus and really doesn't have anything there but blur. But I think this is really interesting, and part of why it's interesting is because it has this section right in here that's really sharply in focus, so it has some nice texture. And then kind of what makes this, I think, is this really strong line. One of the compositional elements that you'll learn to use are lines. So this is a very good abstract. Camden, this is really just kind of a neat photo. I mean, it almost looks like there's some sort of E.T. kind of character back in here. Just really kind of excellent. Note that this was taken with an iPhone, which means that you can take really good photographs with a smartphone. You don't have to have the fancy or SLR cameras, although you can certainly do more things with those cameras. Okay, this is Anna Calmo Matthias. She did a great photo here. This is obviously an action photo, but what really makes this is that her shutter speed, whether she did this purposely or not, it worked because all of these kids are frozen. They just seem to be floating there. And it's really an excellent photograph. I like this one a lot. Mollie Doyle, I think this is just an interesting shot. I really like the fact that it was taken at night, and not enough photographs are taken at night because they really change things. Now, I guess in some sort of sense it could have been framed where we could see the subject's hands down there, but it doesn't matter that much, and I think this is a really good photo. Nice light. Here's Emily's action, and again, because the camera, and she neglected to tell me what camera she was using on this, so be sure to do that. This has a combination of some interesting lines that make this angles here, and of course the fact that the subject's hair is flying back there and is frozen really makes it a good action shot. This is Heath's action shot, and it could be probably a little sharpened up in terms of focus, but that may be because he sent kind of a smaller image. And remember, when you submit your material to me, put one photograph on each page, whether you're using a document like Word or you're using a PowerPoint or Google Slides, one per page, and make it big. And this is one of the reasons. But this is an interesting action shot, partly because it does have some action, and here you kind of anticipate that there could be a throw to the plate, which is kind of interesting. And then another thing is this line, this foul line that goes all the way up the fence and everything so this is actually a pretty good action shot. Now we're into close-ups, and this is also from Heath, and I think this is really an imaginative shot. Now, it would be better if more of it were in focus. It doesn't have to all be in focus, but particularly the edge that's sort of closest to you. But there's enough in focus here to make this a nice close-up shot. This is Mollie's close-up, and eyes are just great for close-ups, but this is a good photograph in a number of other ways. Now, arguably, you could say you could get closer, but that it doesn't have to be. And I think her placement of the eye, which would pretty much coincide with the rule of thirds over here makes this very strong. I really kind of like the fact that this eye and the other elements of the subject's face are on this kind of fleshy center area. So that's a nice shot there. Here's another close-up from Camden. Again, you could say you could be closer. How close is close on a close-up is, of course, always the question. But this is a really good shot. This is Emily's close-up, and this would be just a shot of bark, which, you know, has some interest as texturally and everything. But what really kind of does this is this screw that's in here. And I think this is a really good shot. Now we're into the documentary. This is a very nice shot. Probably could have had a little better framing so we could see the dog's feet. This shot really works because of this great expanse out here, and then the subject is very prominent, and that's oftentimes what makes a good photograph. If we didn't have the dog here and it was just this landscape, then I think it's a different shot and it's not nearly as powerful. Jade submitted this, which is, I think, a very interesting shot. This is a mirror, so she's captured these musicians by shooting at the mirror. But the mirror and this other power strip here and everything kind of tend to frame this photograph. So I think this is really a very interesting shot. Good work. Anna here in the documentary lifestyle, candid kind of thing. This is a really good shot too. Ideally, it could have been compositionally positioned to where the figures were not dead center, but maybe just a little over to the side. But it's still a very good photograph. When you talk about candid and documentary kind of stuff, we use the term capture the moment, and I think this is a good capture the moment photo. This is also a very interesting shot from Courtney. What really kind of makes it is this pacifier up here, and it's a transparent one, so you can actually see through it. And I think it would be a whole different thing if it were, you know, a solid color plastic kind of thing up here. Very nicely done. The fact that baby back here, the child, is out of focus is perfectly okay. This is a very strong photograph. Jade's landscape, one of the things that I want to encourage you to do is think of landscapes as not just Lake Guntersville or your backyard or things like that. Buildings are, in fact, very interesting things to take photographs. So this is Snead State's administration building. One of the things that makes this an interesting photograph is because this was taken in the late afternoon. You've got this western light, and there's a particular quality to light of the afternoon sunset, near sunset, dusk kind of light, and morning light that makes it really ideal for taking photographs. Sometimes it's a little tricky because you may have shadowing, but this is a good example of nice lighting. And here's another landscape of a building. This is a very interesting shot. When we get into the photo editing part, there are some things you could do in photo editing that can help you make a good photograph even better. One of the things I would prefer to see is that this main spire here, it's just not quite perpendicular. And so one of the things you can do in photo editing is you can rotate the photo to make it upright, or you can do other functions too that would make this more upright. Photo editing is going to really help all of you be better photographers because it's sort of like a second chance to do your photograph. On to portraits. This is Emily's. Very kind of straightforward, standard photograph, but nicely done. There's a good neutral background here. The fact that there's this one little furniture element makes it interesting. Her placement of her hands is very, very nice. I would say that this is a good example of a portrait in part because you can clearly tell that the subject, the poser, is into being a part of this photograph. And this is Jade's. I think this is one of the best photographs that we got on this assignment, and it's a portrait also, and it's interesting in a number of different ways. Part of it is, again, the poser is part of the process, and she is helping the photographer by positioning herself in such a way that it makes it interesting. So you've got these folds of her leg and her arm, the bare shoulder here, all make this interesting. Also, the fact that she's looking up. She's not looking at the camera, but looking elsewhere. And it's a very nice, even lighting effect, too. So this is a really good portrait from Jade. Still lifes, some of you still don't grasp that still lifes are essentially manipulations. You're creating something. It's typically a smaller kind of thing, like on a tabletop, something like that. This is Mollie's, and I like it a lot. And it's every bit as much about positioning the objects as it is about snapping the photograph. But the lighting on this is very nice as well, and that makes it good. This is Anna's, and this again is a staged photograph. She's placed these books in such a way that they are the dominant thing. Notice that the background is out of focus, which is a very desired effect. She's placed the books on a kind of a neutral surface here. It's just a really good still life. But I think this is one of my very favorites of this assignment, and this is from Camden, and it's Expired Rose is the name. Once again, an iPhone photo, but this is really a nice photo. The surface is neutral, but it has some texture to it that makes it interesting. The placement of the rose is creating this dynamic kind of diagonal line going across this way from front to back. Note that the back here is out of focus. This is things that you're going to be learning about using your camera in the assignment 4, where we're talking about depth of field and using your shutter and aperture and ISO to kind of control the amount of your image that stays in focus. Essentially, everybody did pretty good work on this. I'm really pleased. There were some outstanding photographs. There were some that I didn't even put in here because we had so many of different categories. But if you didn't get any photographs in this kind of thing, you probably didn't do very well. But I think on this, everybody had some. It's good to see that you're working and thinking about being a photographer. The real trick to being a great photographer is to be able to see the photograph before you take it. Good luck on assignment 4. If you have any questions, send me a Blackboard message, please.